I take this big job with Big Machine, and they're like, listen, you're going to travel a ton. You'll probably never be home. Hindsight, if you're so comfortable being away from your husband that much and more leaning towards the excited part of being
married.
Yeah. Like that might be a sign. So if you're in a
So
relationship and you're
happy to
hearing
leave.
this and you're excited to not be with your husband, that is a red flag. Anyway, so I take the job.
Although having subspace from your husband
is great.
It's great.
Missing him is the fun part.
Yes.
That's where you're like, that's a green flag.
Right.
Yeah. I wasn't missing him. I was like deuces.
Stoked.
Yeah.
To be
pretty stoked.
Out of his breathing room.
Yeah. Fine person. Just not my person, you know? Anyway, so I take the job and I meet you and life is great because I have you and I'm traveling a ton. And then I just would realize every time I was home, there was this really sad, deep sadness that I had because I was like alone with myself.
What happened when you were alone with yourself?
Nothing good. And it was great. The job was so great at keeping me so busy, you know. Record labels in Nashville are relentless. They make sure that you don't even really have time to eat or drink.
Party atmosphere all over the place.
Yeah,
fun
like
people.
You're just you're just gone. And in those spare minutes that you're sitting, you are already behind in your email. So like there's no time to really think about your personal life. So I do think looking back,
for you, probably.
Yeah, looking back, I think God like really moved a lot of pieces and was like, this is where we'll be to keep us moving. But then there would be these really long Texas drives.
Texas will get you every time.
Texas, man.
Texas does it.
The tears in Texas.
Oh, Texas.
Holy mackerel.
She's a heartbreak song.
But
she's a healing song. Texas is beautiful. I love Texas.
Texas might be the only state big enough to hold all the emotions I had at the time, to be honest. So, yeah, it just was really low. I remember just getting to the freeze. So there's a freeze in Nashville for anybody that's not in the music business. Like right around like December-ish, everyone freezes and so your job becomes less and then you're alone with yourself more with less to do.
And it's holiday season.
Which
can be sad.
Whew.
Really sad if you're coming in through a heartbreak.
And I was really going in through a heartbreak.
So the noise shut down. It was holiday season. It was cold, and you were alone with your sadness.
Yeah, I lived in Kansas City at the time and worked remotely for the label because I was just traveling in and about. Kansas City was part of my territory. It made sense. And yeah, I just was alone. I remember, so I just put out this podcast. I got very, very low and to the point where I did want to take my own life. And I remember I was in a tulle skirt and I was in like holiday cute, a really great outfit for what it's worth.
You're very fashionable.
Well, I just love that part of life. Like styling's fun to me. And I remember just being in this really cute outfit. I remember taking forever to get ready. Like, I just remember feeling like I was moving through like drying cement and everything felt like I lifted 1,000 pounds and it was so heavy. And I was at an all-time low weight, which is also ironic. So it just felt like everything was
very hard.
Just like impossibly hard. Getting ready for that party felt hard. It felt dark. I felt like I didn't want to go. And I just remember thinking like, no one is coming for me. It's really sad. That actually makes me emotional. Hard times.
So what'd you do?
I remember thinking of ways that I just wanted out. I felt shameful that a marriage was ending. I hated that. We will get to the bag of rules because I remember where we're headed. I promise. I just take the back roads. I never take the expressway in stories. What's wrong with me? They do.
Totally.
So yeah, I just felt really deeply lonely and shameful, and I hated. No one gets married, I think, to get divorced, you know, and it felt like even he didn't want to tuck it in a like really beautiful Nicholas Sparks way that I had envisioned, where we would go to this like mutual loving dinner and, you know, have a glass of wine and look into each other's eyes and thank each other for the experience. Like we never got that.
Wonderful and growth.
Yeah.
Wait, that's very mature. Does anyone get that?
I don't know. I mean, I hope so.
don't think
they do. And Nobody Wants This.
Well, that's the most advanced, evolved couple that's ever walked the face of the earth. And they're actually a TV couple. That's why.
Yeah. And they're inspiring others to do the
Which
same.
Which is great, honestly. It's so good to see healthy romance.
Well, I would love that, but I didn't get that. And in fact, I got a text saying he wanted a divorce.
So he wanted it, not you?
Well, we had split, and I kind of thought maybe we'll just get like minutes and we'll come back together. That's my deep actually thought. I thought that would happen. And no, I got a text message. It's like the Carrie Bradshaw equivalent, getting broken up with on a Post-it, you know? Mm-hmm. And it just was dark and it sucked and I hated it. And I remember just thinking, I just want out of this. There's nothing, like, what am I working for? You know,
You probably couldn't see any future at that point.
no, my parents weren't coming. No, what? I just, you know, everyone's busy in their own lives. That's the weird part about that job too, is you pop into lives that are always going. You're just a character in a story that pops in and out. And it was such a surreal experience to just like always be popping into like people's kids' volleyball games and, you know, they're having family dinner and Taco Tuesday and I didn't have any of that. What a wild season, you know? Anyways, so I scraped myself in a tulle skirt off the floor. And I remember.
Were you on the floor?
Oh, I just laid on the floor in the middle of my pretty room, my pretty tulle skirt.
You just felt hopeless?
And I just thought, I just don't want to do this anymore. And I kept thinking, no one would even suspect this feeling because I was so good. You know, if my childhood taught me nothing else, it was that you just go with the narrative, right? And so the narrative was make it look shiny, make it look good, sweep it under the rug and keep going. But no one would have known how dark it was, I think. So I eventually
it's really
did.
Awesome that you're talking about this. I know it's not easy.
It's really not easy, but
Why
it's also
are you
just
wanting to
honest.
share this now?
Well, you know, National Mental Health Day was a week ago, and I think now there's just like this epidemic of like people not getting truthful information down to the people whose stories we're watching. I think we don't talk about like the messy, hard shit enough. I just don't. I don't want everyone to log on and see me weeping in a corner. That's not my goal. I just think like you wouldn't probably look at a lot of the people that we're all always around and think, man, I bet at one time she was so low, you know, like it's kind of like, oh, life is a gift and we just keep moving and we have these incredible experiences and beautiful lives. And we do. I mean, I get to go to Whole Foods and buy my groceries, #blessed, you know, but I think it is not completely honest. And I think that the world is probably craving more of a deeper connection and more honesty about people than ever. And I just thought, I just want people to know they're not alone. That's always it for me since the beginning of time. I have felt alone so many times in my life.
Is that why? Because you felt so alone?
So alone.
Starting when?
I don't know, 1982.
Is that when you were born?